I would like to discuss two words, really two different ideas. The first of which is oralism, and the second is speaking, or speech skills. In my observations, I've noticed different people who say, deaf or hearing impaired people are against oralism, meaning that they are against deaf people who speak. And they're against hearing people, and they're against English, and people who speak for themselves, and the whole gamut. Well, I am against oralism. I read this book, and it really explained in depth this just crazy backwards system of oralism. And in the past, in about the 1950s, there was this major change where people who were oral thought they were better than those who signed and kind of dismissed them and put them down. And the other word for that is autism. People think, if we're against autism, that means that we're against deaf people who speak for themselves, that that's a bad thing. And no, that's not the case. We're talking about two different ideas here. Speaking, or having speech skills, being able to talk for yourself, read lips, it's fine. You are talking, and to hearing people, and the two of you are able to communicate, well, that's fine. On the other hand, if you choose to sign, well, that's fine too. Some deaf, they just pick up a lot of speech skills just through their interactions with hearing people, and, that's great. Good for them. There's nothing wrong with that. No big deal. But the problem arises when you really think about the attitude. Some people think that those who are oral are better than those who signed. Well, because they're able to interact with the majority. Well, that's A.G. Bell kind of thinking. He had this quote saying, if you sign, it's fine, but really, all the information out there in the speaking world is huge, and signing just a little bit, and that signing people need to assimilate into the hearing world. We need to fix them and make them fit in, and that attitude is just skewed, and the fact that those who are oral are looked down upon those who choose to sign, well, that's autism, and that is directly related to oralism. Some deaf people grow up learning to speak and enjoying it, and it's fine, it works for them, no problem. They don't have any problem. But, you got to think about the time and the energy put into speech therapy and learning how to speak, and compare that with the hours for deaf people who just learn to sign by being around people who sign. Those who gravitate toward oralism, their signing skills decrease. There's not a lot of opportunity to pick things up outside of class, and so that's where the oppression comes in. So if you grew up that way, does that mean that you need to support oralism? No. If you grew up, that's fine. Learning how to speak, okay, but that doesn't mean that you should support oralism. If you speak for yourself and you don't really sign, your primary mode of communication is speaking, it's fine, it's no problem. Let me give you an example. There's this street, and it has, a lot of deaf people that live on this street, and they're having a meeting about different, issues on the street, and they call in a city official to attend this meeting. And of course, all the people on the street know sign. Deaf, hearing, doesn't matter, they all know sign, but the city official that they bring into the meeting, he doesn't know how to sign. So, he comes, okay, fine, I'll bring my interpreter, and she, interprets what he says, and that's normal. You see that all the time. It happens a lot, and it has for a long time. They think, okay, we're understanding each other, sure, fine. A lot of people have deaf have hearing children or parents that are all in the mix there, and that's fine. But the problem is when when the city official is kind of ignoring or brushing off the deaf people and gravitating towards the hearing or those who sign. That is autism. And so we do not need to support oralism. That's something that needs to just be done away with. Speaking is fine, but if you speak for yourself, never think you're above those who sign. It doesn't mean that people who speak are better than people who sign. People who are hearing are better than people who are deaf. That's not the case. People who are people who are oral choose not to be a part of the deaf world because they don't want to learn sign, and that's just an attitude problem. They put themselves up on this pedestal and think, I don't need to learn how to sign, I can communicate with the hearing world in the majority. And so understand that it's our duty as deaf to assimilate into the hearing world. That is the idea of oralism. And again, that is basically autism. So, we can't just do away with hearing people or oral people. That's just a ridiculous idea. So it's kind of the same thing can be applied to those who sign for their main mode of communication.